Howdy, Immortalium here. Today I'm reviewing another manga classic, this time written from the mid-1970s, called The Heart of Thomas. Now, if you haven't heard of The Heart of Thomas, it was released in order to compete with The Rose of Versailles, another manga in which you might have heard of. Those two titles are hailed as kind of raising the bar for shoujo manga. So modern shoujo manga would not exist without these two titles. Giving this a lot of influence then. Not only that, but they also made a very successful movie, live-action movie, based on this. So the question then is this good? The answer, very easily, is yes, it's very good. But it's also flawed, and these flaws definitely affect the, enjoyment of it. But I'll get into that, in a moment. So first of all, what is the plot? Well, it opens up with a suicide. Oddly enough, by Thomas. Considering he's the titular character, the character in the title, it's a bit surprising seeing him commit suicide right at the beginning. But then we're introduced to what we could call one of the main two characters. I did that because, it's not really clear in this who the main character is, called Julie. Now, I'm calling him Julie, but his name is spelled Juli. It's mentioned that he's named after July, so maybe he's supposed to be called July, but I'm just going to call him Julie because that's what I've been reading. Anyway, we're introduced to him. And he gets a letter from Thomas after hearing of his suicide, and it's like a final kind of love confession from Thomas. Thomas was madly in love with Julie, and this kind of disturbs Julie. But in fairness now, it doesn't disturb him so much as the fact that a new transfer student called Eric has just come to school, and he is the spitting image of Thomas. And everyone's surprised at that. So, of course, there's a lot of drama that can be gotten out from that. Now, first of all, the characters. Great cast of characters in general. You have Oscar, who's Julie's best friend. You have Eric, who is kind of trying to figure out, who Julie is, who Thomas is. Lots of great characters. But one problem that I faced almost immediately was how unlikable Julie is. He's the prefect of the school, so he's always kind of very confident. He's kind of giving us off this aura of you got to do what I say. But because he's struggling with all these kind of emotions within him, he can also get he can suffer from severe mood swings, is the best way to put it. One moment he'll be calm and cool and collected, then all of a sudden he'll be kind of screaming and unhappy and sad. So I've had difficulty liking him. Even throughout the entire book, I had difficulty liking him. So that was a major fault, in my opinion. Particularly due to the fact that he is the first main character that was introduced. But the rest of the characters are great, I think. So, that helps offset it a bit. Plus, it helps that he's not, in fact, the main character. He's just one of the main characters, the other main character being Eric, of course, who is actually a pretty good character. This is set in the mid-20th century in Germany, so that's why the names, aren't Japanese, they're German. But another issue that I have with this is the fact that everyone seems surprisingly okay with, homosexuality. Now, this is mid-20th century. So that would be like 1950s or something. And this is in an all-boys school. So what surprised me is the fact that everyone is so kind of calm about homosexuality. Now, none of the adults ever get aware of this. So, we don't get to see any of the kind of adult viewpoints of this. But every boy, they're as calm as can be about this. Now, they do kind of tease a bit, like they called Thomas I think it was like Fräulein or something like that, which I think is like the woman or female or something like that in German, because I think the surname was Frauling. But besides that, everyone's very calm about it. There's no like ridicule. There's no kind of effort but from the main characters to kind of help kind of conceal their homosexuality. Which I find very kind of odd and surprising in my opinion. I would have kind of preferred it if they had gotten the more girlfriends route, which was that this is so odd that the characters themselves are struggling with it and they're kind of trying to conceal it from their friends. In this, they're as open as they can be in Heart of Thomas, so that's surprising. Then what was it? The story itself is very good, in fairness, although the ending is a bit weak, it's a bit sudden, but there's lots of twists throughout the story. There's lots of character development, etc., etc. It's a very good story, so I did like that. And the artwork is beautiful. It's very shoujo, but kind of very mid-1970s shoujo, being that, and let me just see if I can get you good examples. There's lots of kind of detailed hair, kind of images of flowers, kind of, that's the best way to describe it, just kind of lots of strong whites and blacks, with kind of frames and non-frames. There's detailed hairs, detailed eyes, etc., etc. It's beautiful to look at, in fairness. It's it isn't always perfect to look at. Sometimes they can look a bit odd, but in general, it's a beautiful manga to look at, and the artwork is very well done. So we have determined then that even though it has its flaws, it's a great work. So, do I recommend it? Yes. Now, there are flaws with it, of course, and I'll just run them down. Julie is an unlikable character. The boys' school is surprisingly open about its homosexuality. The ending is a bit sudden, and something I failed to mention earlier is that it has a slow opening. Eric isn't introduced until like chapter 4 or something. So, it has a slow opening. But overall, it's a great work, and I did enjoy reading it. Now, this was released by Fantagraphics. If you're not familiar with Fantagraphics in the manga field, it's kind of because they don't release too much in the manga field. Fantagraphics mainly release kind of obscure comics in America, kind of experimental comics. So when it comes to manga, oddly enough, what they seem to release mostly is hentai, which, I guess it's good that there's some big publisher in America that's releasing hentai manga. Not that I'd have any interest in that. But they did choose to release this. And their treatment of this is beautiful. It has a glorious kind of hardcover, presentation. The page quality is fantastic, along with, the use of color pages. Now, there isn't too much color page in this, only 2 bursts of it, and that's it. But it's really nice to see it kind of, used in the manga presentation. There's also an essay on the back, done by Matt Thorne, which is the guy who translated this. And it actually gave me lots of information. Like, here's one thing that I found kind of fascinating. The mangaka for this lived in the same apartment, was a roommate of the one who did Tetera, which I found amazing, because actually looking at the artwork, there are similarities between the 2 works. So, and also gave me lots of great detail on the reception of this manga, how shoujo manga was viewed at the time, etc., etc. So, really, this is a great presentation. Not to mention the massive size. Taking, say, the standard manga size Yotsuba, look at how small it is in comparison to this. So it's a big manga. So, Fantagraphics, the only problem that I found in this, which in relation to Fantagraphics, is the fact that there are a couple of typos. Now, which is a bit surprising considering the price they were asking for this at the beginning. But It doesn't really distract too much. It's a bit annoying when it pops up, but you know, it's just typos, you know, don't freak out about them. So overall, I recommend Heart of Thomas. Actually enjoyed it more than Terra, so, you know, that says something. It's not brilliant. It's not going to replace Girlfriends for my favourite kind of homosexual manga, but it is a great work. It's good to see, you know, it kind of raised the bar for shoujo manga of its time, etc, etc. So I do recommend you get it. Just don't expect, you know, amazing. You know, if I had to give this, like, I would probably give it a 4 stars. I don't usually use the stars system because, you know, I think that's kind of too limiting. I like people to get their own opinions, but I just kind of want to point it out that it's, you know, it's a good work, possibly a great work, but not a brilliant work. So that's my review of The Heart of Thomas. Hopefully this was informing. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.